All right, you grasshoppers. Who are the name came up? I was gonna say, who is that man? Who is that man? But it's obviously Doug Sotar. Ranger fans will remember him with that mask on. Dave Maloney doesn't remember who he is, and so I think Dave's embarrassed today. But Soapy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Yourself?
Excellent.
Take this off. I had this repainted here a few years ago. There we go.
Nice.
I'll put it back on if you want.
Yeah.
Put it back on. You look better.
Guys, you got a new computer. You're not on the new computer, are you?
No.
There was a little bit of
an issue.
Makes you look younger, Grush, that new computer.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help. Nothing's going to help anymore.
That's not true at all. What are you talking about?
Anyway, Soapy, I was trying to remember the date when I scored those 4 goals in you back in the 70s.
Yeah, your memory's getting bad because I don't think it ever happened, Grush.
I'm going to find the book.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it.
I was looking at stats like the team that you guys had in 71, 72, 72, 73. I was doing a little homework here. And
yeah.
It's amazing the teams that we had out west. It was tough hockey. You go into Medicine Hat and Calgary and New Westminster and wow.
What was your draft year? 75, right?
74. Yeah. It was 75. Yeah.
So how many years were you in New York?
I was 6 years in New York, and then Craig traded me to the year that Herb came in. I got traded to Winnipeg. Well, Fergie was there, so Fergie traded for me, and then that was 3 years there. And then I went to Montreal for 2 years, and then after we won the cup in Montreal, I went back to New York and ended up there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
And then when you get done, did you get right into the GM business with?
No, actually, what happened that last year in New York, when I left Montreal, I had hurt my knees really bad, and I signed a 3-year deal with the Rangers and came back. In my last year, I wasn't very good and struggled, and that's when Espo took over. So I played that year. I wasn't playing very well. And then he asked me if I'd, think about going down to Denver. So I spent a year in Denver with the Mojave on the farm team, coaching and managing. 2 years actually down there. And then the year I was coming back, Phil was moving me back to New York. I was going to work in the player personnel side. And he got fired when I was driving back from Denver to New York, right in the middle of the move, right? I get a phone call from Jack Diller. Doug, we've let Phil go. We really like you, though, but we want you to come back and work with Neil and all this. Okay. So I came back and did a year of pro scouting for Neil with Larry Plow, great guy.
Yeah.
And at the end of that year, I knew my number was up. So I started looking and ended up finding a job in Kansas City in the old IHL.
Yeah. And that's where you went right into the GM role. Is that right?
I went as coach and GM.
Oh.
And we started in a shoe store in Kansas City, and we're an independent team the first year. And that following year, or that year that we were operating our first year, Jack Ferreira was the GM in Minnesota at that time. So we wanted affiliation the following year in Kansas City. So Jack Ferreira and I did a deal that we had his affiliation because they were splitting in Minnesota. They were going to San Jose.
Okay.
For that split. So we had an affiliation lined up with San Jose the year before they even split because he was going there. He wanted me to sign some players for him, which we did. We signed a bunch of players the year that he wasn't even operating, but he was known going to San Jose. Had guys like Flaherty and Odgers and guys like that were coming out, young guys. So that's where I went, in the IHL, and that's where I started my managing. And I coached for a year. I didn't want to coach. I wanted to manage.
So we were just talking before the show started. I was in the agent business. Soapy had one of my players with Kansas City. We got at it pretty good down to
we did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tommy was hammering me with his demands, and we worked it all out. Though it was all good. I think he got a 3-year deal. I think he ended up. You got a good salary for him, and I had the money, so it was good.
Yeah, I know that, Soapy, because I've been trying to get you on here now for like 3 months. And Tommy kept saying, no.
He
didn't want to bury the hatchet, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I just was concerned that you're going to make Gresh look bad again because he can't handle the IT stuff, and you seem to get on fine. I don't know. There's no problem you getting on.
I'm very high tech. Yeah.
I got a new computer. I'm working it out. Things work.
You got to plug it in.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, just
I thought
power.
it was cordless.
No, Ron, that's not true.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's awesome.
And so you're like a 3-time grandfather?
Yeah, I've got my daughter's got 3 kids here in Kansas City. I've been in Kansas City all those years, even though I've gone to Europe and worked over there and ran the junior team. We'd always come back here. My daughter settled here. Got 3 grandkids. She's the only one that's got the grandkids in our family. I've got a son in St. Louis, married and working there in a corporate business. And my other son, Dennis, he's in Dallas. He's an equipment manager down there. He's been there 14 years. So he's been with the Stars and in the bubble for 10 weeks while they went.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they have bars in those bubbles?
Do they have what?
Bars.
Bar to
What?
go? Like,
He
in
wants
the bubble.
cocktail.
Hello. Oh, from a bar.
Yeah.
I think they had a few bars there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have.
Like, the guys go for, they had like some hours off one time. They can get a few cocktails in.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. He was telling me that the bubble in Edmonton was a lot tighter than it was down east. Obviously, the provincial governments run them different ways. And he went from his hotel room to the lobby to a little cantina area outside to get a Tim Hortons coffee in the morning and walk over to the rink through the cage and then into the building. And that was it for 10 weeks. And they were bringing food in. They'd have to do team things, have a barbecue on the rooftop there when they were as a team, but it was really strict and never seen grass for 10 weeks.
Wow.
Soapy, who gave you the name Soapy? Like went out the other day, I thought to my Soapy. I mean, I know it's so tar, but it's just like, is it grass?
You know what? Actually in juniors, I was called Sudsy. And then I think Russell kind of turned around and started calling me Soapy or whatever. So it kind of stuck with me.
Okay, I thought it was maybe so I thought maybe it was Gresh's fault or something.
Yeah. No, it kind of changed from Sudsy to Soapy, and that's where it stuck. It stuck at that. So yeah. So
good.
Yeah. No. But yeah, that when you have a bad neighbor, things don't go well for your computers and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
that's
it's the way it is, right? Nowadays, you got to be high tech in this world now, or a little bit of technology.
So when you first came to the Rangers, then who was the other goaltender?
Well, my first year I came to the camp, it was Eddie Jockman and JD.
Oh,
JD, that was in 75, 76. Yeah, that was, and JD just got traded. So my first training camp, I got hurt probably about 4 days in of the bag skate. We had some shots. And I took one off the ankle and blew my ankle right up. So I ended up going down to the minors and playing down there, obviously up and down for about 3 years. And but it was JD, myself, Eddie, and then Dunk Wilson. Wayner came a couple years, like a year later, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm still buddies with Wayne. We talk all the time, and it's a good man. And I've talked to JD a few times over the years. So,
Twinkie, how did he get the nickname Twinkie? Is that what he ate?
I can't remember. I call him Tompkins because here's a great story. I was getting the year that JD, myself, and Wayne were the goalies in New York. Freddie Sherrill was coaching. So Mike Nicolak, we're skating in Playland, right, warming up, and Mike comes over and he says, "Doug," he goes, "Freddie wants to talk to you." It's like, okay, I know what's going to happen here. So I go off the ice in the back room. Remember the stick room in Long Beach there? So not Long Beach, but right Playland. So I walk in that back door, and Freddie's sitting there in the morning, and he looks up to me and he says, "Doug," he goes, "we really like you, but we need you to play, and we're going to send you down to New Haven." But he says, "I'm not sure what we're going to do with that Tompkins guy yet." So I've been calling Tompkins I've been calling him all the rest of his life. I told him that story because I'm not sure what we're going to do with that Tompkins guy yet. I think he was pretty deep into Dr. Pepper's there at that time.
Freddie was pretty funny because I know when what's his name got traded from Edmonton for Donnie Murdoch.
Yeah.
Cam
Connor. Yeah. It's a good story.
And, so he goes, he's going to play defense. He's not a defenseman, though. He's not a D-man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not? Oh.
He thought he was who's the guy who works for the NHL now? A smaller guy. He's around a little bit, tough guy. He was not tough. He fought a lot, but small guy. You fought him, Gresh. I remember you fought him when he was with Detroit.
Oh,
I know who you're talking about.
High up in the NHL. I can't remember his name now.
Not King? No,
an older guy. It's awful. His son played in the league for a little bit too. Broke his leg for Boston.
I'm trying to think.
Oh, yeah. Is that Campbell?
Yeah, So he thought instead of Cam Connor, it was calling Campbell. You got the wrong guy.
Do you remember the night when Freddie was on the bench in Madison Square Gardens and he's standing behind the bench looking, all of a sudden somebody from our zone shot the puck and he was standing there and everybody ducked on the bench and he was like and nailed it right in the forehead. You remember that? He just I wasn't playing that night. He's standing there and he just kind of goes right down. He goes over. They carry him out down the hallway into the thing. So Nicolette steps in, right? And that was right at the end of this, like maybe 10 minutes to go in the second period. So Nicholas steps in and Freddie's in the back getting all stitched up. So we come out for the ice for the third period and Freddie's still not behind the bench. And the whole building is going, "We want Freddie. We want Freddie." They're chanting. Freddie comes out, right, about 2 minutes into the period and the place went crazy. He had a big white patch on his head. It was like he took it hard though, man. Everybody just split in the bench and he him smacking him for it, and he went down like a sack of potatoes.
You could tell all the guys that weren't playing that night, they all ducked.
Yeah, exactly. They were getting out of the way. Yeah. How about the time when we scored a goal and I remember I was on the bench that night again, and I looked over. The guys jumped up, and remember the big heavy benches? They were like big wood benches.
Fell on him.
Freddie, he's standing like this, and all of a sudden this bench comes over and hits his foot. He just goes. He didn't say a word, and the guys picked up the bench, never said a word, and he finished the game. And the next morning, I went in early to the dressing room, right? And I went to the trainer's room. I was one of the first guys there, and who's sitting on the table was Freddie. He had his foot up, and his toe was like about that big. It was black and blue. It was broken. Oh man, the poor guy. I felt so bad for him.
My first year, the cat used to always put his foot up on the bench,
Oh yeah.
Maybe because he was too short or whatever, but
yeah.
And he would and Greg Polis went to jump over the boards right into his shoe.
Yeah.
The cat went nuts. I was like,
yeah, I bet.
I was sitting about 2 people away, and I heard I couldn't figure out what the cat was throwing all these all these slangs out there, and it was like, and it was like almost the whistle came and Greg Polis was standing on the ice.
Yeah.
And the cat was just reaming him out, and his shoe was all cut up. Cat didn't leave though. Cat was a tough little man.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Well, you know what? He's one that drafted me, Emil Francis.
Yeah.
And their scouts would be in the old Edmonton Gardens. You remember the old Edmonton Gardens? We used to kick Newminster's butt all the time when they came there.
Yeah.
But there's 2 guys used to sit. I still see them today. They sat right instead of the blue line where we started the game first and third, right? And these 2 guys, one guy had a chapeau, a hat on, and he was a bigger guy, and the other guy was a little guy. You knew they were scouts. You had no clue who they were, right? And they were in Edmonton a ton my draft year. So I get drafted by the New York Rangers, and they work a contract out. So the Rangers flew me to Montreal to sign an agreement with Emil Francis. So I flew to Montreal, stayed at the Queen Elizabeth, knocked on the door. Mr. Francis opens the door, right? Introduces himself. I walk in the room, and who's sitting? The same 2 guys that were sitting at the blue line were sitting on the couch, and the guy had the hat on. It was unbelievable. It's like, Holy shit! I know you guys. Steve Berklowicz and Louis Passador.
Yeah.
Were the two
Yeah,
scouts.
yeah.
You remember those guys, Gresh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dennis Ball
Oh yeah.
was
Dennis
the head
Ball.
scout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he kept mixing me and Davey up all the time.
Well, he couldn't see.
Oh my God. This was the glasses he had on.
His glasses were like very, very thick. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Hey, Gresh, I forgot to ask you, how's your intermittent fasting going today?
Today was like an hour only.
Well, so you had 13 hours of fasting, right?
Yeah, well, the 12 and then 1 hour.
Yeah, so it's called a 13-hour fast. We got to get the terminology down.
Well, I do it by the 12 hours, and I do it by the 1, 2, 3. I mean, I haven't graduated to your level yet, Tom.
Okay, we'll work on it though. Progress, not perfection. Progress.
Yeah.
So Tommy, this True Grit Life that you do, and I get these live updates like at 4 a.m, and you're out in the bush somewhere running across fields and hiking. That's quite a commitment.
You don't want to go anywhere near them after that for a while because the skunks are out there in the morning too.
You would have laughed this morning. The leaves are all coming down, and we've got a lot of rain. And to walk down to where I go walk, I got to go down a little bit of a hill in the grass. Landed on my ass this morning. I just went right down.
Really?
Yeah. Before the morning, so everybody could see it.
Yeah.
No, it's been fun, Soapy. It's kind of evolved too. You start off doing things and you get better at it. You add to it, and it's got a lot better. So, yes, no more coming home at 3:30 in the morning. Now I get up at 3:30.
Yeah. So where's the Duguay? Duguay was a regular on your show. Did he gas you guys or like what's going on?
Well, he wanted to renegotiate his contract. Too much.
I figured. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. He didn't like the wages.
Yeah. Plus, he cut his hair. Nobody knew who he was anymple.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't about all Dukes either. Like other guys were getting attention, and Dukes didn't like that. So yeah, we kind of mutual understanding.
Like Dukes wanted to be interviewed and do the interview at the same time.
Yeah.
One time,
yeah. Have you guys had Murder on yet, Donnie?
No.
Mud?
No, he hasn't.
No. I seen Donnie a few years ago, actually, when I was running the junior team in Everett. We would go into Cranbrook, and he was doing the color back then.
Yeah.
So we hooked up after one night and went after one game, just reminiscing. Great to see him. He's doing well.
He's really cleaned up his life. I spoke to him a couple of times, and it seems like he's really doing well now.
Yeah. He was doing good when I seen him. So he seemed.
Yeah. I think he's like on 9 years now.
Really. Yeah. Awesome. Like good for him.
Yeah, great for him. He's like the guy was just an unbelievable guy. I mean, like person, funny.
Yeah.
And he just got mixed up in the wrong crowd, and good for him that he got his life straightened out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There was nothing funnier than sitting with him having a drink or whatever you were doing, because he had the imagination that everybody wants to dream of having. There's a lot of things I can say about Donnie, but he did have a good time. Thank you.
Yeah. You remember when he scored the 5 goals there in MS? Was that in the Gardens? He scored the 5?
In Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, he could have had. I mean, he could just score.
Yeah.
I mean,
talented.
I'm not going to say he could have done what Bossy did, but I could. It would have been somewhere in that area. He could skate. He could.
Yeah.
He was a tough little shit for what he was for the size of him.
Yeah.
But he could score, but he could shoot the puck from anywhere. And
he was deadly. Anyway, that puck was on his stick. He knew where it was going for sure.
Yeah.
Used to see it in practice all the time.
Yeah. The best story ever, though, when we were in Long Beach.
You told that before. Chris, you said that before, the best story. Is this the best story? Or?
Oh, this is the best one.
Okay.
Him and Dukes were a little late for practice. And we were all having a meeting, and they were Jean-Guy Talbot was the coach, and he's going, and he's facing the door coming onto the ice is behind him. We're all standing there, and he's going, they're going down. They're going down to New Haven right now. They're on their way.
I remember that.
On the ice.
I remember that. That was in Long. We were in Long Beach at that time, wasn't it?
That was in Long Beach.
Yeah. remember bunking at your place, Gresh. It was like the commune there for a while. We had myself, Danny Newman.
Danny Newman.
I think Dave Maloney was in there.
No, it was
Farish.
Dave Farish.
Farish.
Yeah.
And then you let me stay for a while.
Yeah.
And
I rented a place on Bay Boulevard. It was what a great like house was big. So.
Oh yeah.
And I was paying like I don't know $800 a month back then. $900 a month. But I had all these rooms, so every time one of you guys come up, they needed a place to stay. Danny Newman was there one time, and I remember he was his girlfriend showed up, and so she's there in one of the rooms. When you walk up the stairs, there was a bunch of bedrooms upstairs.
Yeah.
And then guys would come strolling in like 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and they're coming in like whatever, and she asked Danny the next day, "Does this always happen?" Oh no! Oh God, there was.
And then I think I moved out. I went to I moved out. They said you go live with Dougie Jarrett, and
by the digs.
right out the back door of the digs and make a left, and that's where Dougie was living.
Yeah.
And I had a little room in the back there with a cot, and that's where I stayed.
Yeah. But it was
interesting.
Long Beach was a lot of fun, though.
I missed that. You guys tell a lot of stories about Long Beach.
I left 3/4 of my liver there.
The digs. That was the only place you could walk in and put a $20 bill down at 10 o'clock at night, and it was still there at 4 a.m.
Yeah. You'd walk in, have lunch, 12 o'clock, put the 20 down.
Yeah.
Walk out, the 20 was still sitting there at midnight, and you had no idea where you were, but okay, I'm out of here. Yeah.
Remember the deli days? The guys couldn't wait for a deli day.
Yeah.
Remember? Somebody scored a hat trick or a goalie got a shutout, and you had to buy, right? So it was like everybody.
That didn't happen very often in a couple of those years.
Those were big. Those were big days for everybody when somebody got a hat trick.
Yeah.
All the married guys had a chance to get out then.
But Long Beach was a fun place to live, and I loved it out there. It was great. People were nice. I remember one night sitting in I don't remember what bar it was, but it was like 5 a.m. Guy goes, I go, "What do you do?" He goes, "Oh, I fly for Eastern." Those shuttles, remember all the place, all over.
Yeah.
I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I have to leave." I go, "Okay, 5 o'clock." I'm going, "Okay, the guy's going to fly whatever time of the day." He says, "I got to do a 7 o'clock flight to Boston." What? Sitting here at this bar for like 8 hours. I go, I'm not getting on that plane.
Yeah, the same guys there. Some guy. Who was that guy named Scoop? Who was that guy?
Oh,
remember?
Gene. Yeah,
Gene. Yeah.
I'm still in touch with him.
Oh yeah, he was Stemmer's buddy, right?
Yeah, he knew he was like a hockey guru. He knows everything about hockey. Good guy.
Yeah.
A lot of him and Stemmer were still best friends.
Yeah.
But Scoop's a good guy too. And there was a guy. The bartender was John McCormick.
Well, I remember the name
at the digs, and then there was Betty.
Gresh, you've got a great memory. You can remember.
That's right, Gresh.
Yeah.
Man, you're on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember some of that stuff. Not very much though.
Yeah.
You can remember that name, but you can't remember yesterday. Like,
yeah, what did I do yesterday? Oh no, I went to the post office yesterday and it was closed.
Did you go to Costco today?
No, my son's out working. My son's doing DoorDash.
Oh, you're gonna go with him, okay?
Yeah. So
okay, good.
They're coming over here after, and he does DoorDash, and I just hope they don't close the restaurants down too much in New York, because then who's going to work in the restaurant then?
Yeah.
You're going to cut it. I guess they're going to cut it down to 25% or something. That's
wow.
How is it out there, Soapy, in Kansas City?
It's really starting to pick up out here. The infections, they're starting to tighten things up. I'm doing that deal now for the youth association here. I'm the president and helping them out run the program, and we've got some COVID policies. And around 4 o'clock every day, I'm getting a text from the hockey director saying this kid has got COVID, so we have to send a letter out to the parents, or the parents. Somebody one of the players' parents has got COVID, so he's going to be in quarantine. It's been picking up here the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's, we're battling through it in the sense that we've been lucky. We're continuing on. We're taking precautions. We're letting people know in advance of when the health board does. So we're letting them, go through. No team has really been affected other than the odd individual. So that's a positive. But the way it's going right now, it's becoming very difficult out here.
Yeah, they got. I know, like what they Manitoba's got it really bad now in Canada, and like my son was supposed to go up there for school.
Yeah.
And September, and then so we took the first half of the year off, and now don't know whether he's going to go starting in January to go to business school up there. And
they just tightened it up, Manitoba. They just shut everything down here the other day. They just tightened it right up.
I'm not even sure you can drive into Manitoba now.
BC, in one of the little towns in BC, the Parks and Rec director just resigned because he'd be getting abuse from people not using the buildings, not the rink and everything like that. And they had one case in the town. So that's how tight they are.
Yeah.
Out there. So
yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Pete, so you were there in Montreal when you won a cup. Was that, what year was that? That was
86.
86?
Yeah. 84, 85, 85, 86. Yeah. That was I was in Winnipeg the 3 years prior to that and played with Serge Savard. Remember when Serge came out of retirement? Fergie was the GM in Winnipeg, and and they were buddies, right? So he convinced Serge to come out to Winnipeg, and Serge played, I think it was 3 years, maybe played 3 more years.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then he retired, and then he went to Montreal and became the general manager. So he traded for me. There was Steve Penny there at that time, and then myself in 84-85, and then a kid by the name of Patrick Rock came in in 85-86. But then we had Jacques Lemaire was our head coach in 84-85, and he was trying to get some of his old teammates to play defense and work harder. He just had enough. He was a great coach. He was an unbelievable coach. And Flower retired that year, right before the end of the season. And then 85-86, Jean Perron came in as the head coach. And I probably had the best training camp I've ever had in my life. And we ended up I sat in the press box for the first 10 games, and we were 2-8, and they had Steve Penny and Patrick Waugh. And after the 10th game, we were in Hartford, and at the end of the first period, it was 6-0 for Hartford over the Habs, right? So I knew I was going to get my start. So 2 days later, I got the chance to get in there and had a great year. Come January, Perron came up to me. Here's a little story. Perron came up to me and said, "Doug, I want you to get ready because you're going to be playing a lot of the games to the end of the year because I'm getting you ready for the playoffs." I said, "Great, no problem." I waited, put my time in, didn't bitch, complain. We're not playing a whole ton, but when I played a ton. I played well. So 2 games after that, it was playing LA Kings. Phil Sykes backed into me.
Psycho.
Blew my knees out. I torn ligaments. And so I was out until the end, basically right before the end of the season. And I came back and taped them up and shot them up and the whole 9 yards. To make a long story short, I never played again. But I addressed the whole playoffs because the other 2 guys didn't get along very well, right?
Really?
Oh yeah, they were. Let's just say they weren't on their Christmas card list.
Wow.
Patrick and Steve. And anyway, so I addressed the entire playoffs, ready to go if need be, and supported Patrick, and had the chance to win a Stanley Cup in Montreal. So it was a great experience playing there. And then the following year, I became at the end of that season, I became a free agent, and that's when the Rangers signed me. I think Craig was signing me, and then he got fired. And then Phil took over and honored the contract. So that's why I came back. But my knees were not good at all. Like it took me a year and a half to get rid of the pain in my knees. And unfortunately, I didn't end very well in New York. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
I remember I just saw the game on TV where you guys played. I think it was Game 5 in Calgary.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and they got you on camera a few times. Like,
oh yeah, I made it the odd cameo. I was in there for the odd cameo. Yeah.
I wonder why he's not playing.
Yeah. The other kid. I was ready, Gresh.
Who coached in Winnipeg?
The other kid was lucky.
Yeah, he did get lucky. Did Fergie coach you in Winnipeg? Is that who was coaching? Did he?
No, he wasn't coaching Winnipeg. He went there as GM.
Right.
Fergie was Emil Francis, and then Fergie came in, right, in New York, ran it, and then he got let go.
And Craig took over.
And I played for Craig for a couple of years.
Right.
And then Fergie went to Winnipeg.
No. Craig didn't take over then. Freddie, well, it was Freddie, right? Freddie took over. Yeah, Freddie. Then Freddie got let go.
Yeah, right. And Craig. Right. Yeah, because Fergie was there the first couple of years, right?
He was
Emil and then Fergie. Emil, then Fergie.
Yeah, he was
then
there
Freddie.
For almost 3 years. He was there.
Emil, Fergie, Freddie, Craig. That's how it went.
Yep.
Yeah, and then and then Fergie traded for me when I was in Winnipeg. And
who coached
team. Who coached?
Yeah,
Tom Watt.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Tom Watt. Yeah, and that was Fergie the year they were in the WHA, and then they made it to the NHL. Remember they absorbed them, and they had only won 12 games that year. Fergie took over, or went from WHA to the NHL, the Winnipeg Jets. So the following year, he traded for myself, Eddie Stanielski, Brian Maxwell. That's the year Howard Chuck and Arneal came in. Like there's probably 12, 13 new players in there, and they went from the worst team in the league to the most improved team ever in the NHL. And we ended up with 33 wins, 33 losses, and so many ties. I don't know if it's still a record or whatever, but it's a huge improvement.
Was Timmy Waters there?
Muddy Waters was my roommate.
He was my partner in LA. Yeah, good man.
Muddy, I seen Muddy a few years ago. Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah.
Did he recognize you?
He did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what was it like sitting there with Dave Maloney, knowing that he didn't recognize you? It was kind of like, do you want to smack? Like Dave was talking to you, doesn't he recognize who you were?
Well, I didn't have my mustache, and I might have had a couple pounds on me. That it'd been a long time since I'd seen Dave.
Don't give him an out. He should have remembered who you were. I mean, that's
yeah. No, he was sitting there filling his face at a free buffet.
Wow. Okay.
And it was good to see him. It was good to see him. Actually, I ran into Stemmer there a couple of years ago in the press box in Dallas. I was going up to look for David, and he wasn't working that time, and Stemmer was filling in for him. And seen Stemmer and had a nice chat with Stemmer there too. He was one of my roommates, Stemmer. Yeah, Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack was my first pro camp in Rockville Center.
Yeah,
we were staying at the Holiday Inn, Rockville Center. Bobby Mack was my roommate, and I checked in, and I think I seen him about 3 days after we checked in. He was a really good guy too. It was good times. Good times. Yeah.
One of our fans comes up with a good point here, talking about Timmy Waters, the best nicknames of two roommates, Muddy and Soapy.
Oh, there you go.
I like that. Well done.
Yeah. I had him, and in Winnipeg was him and Jimmy Kite. Jimmy Kite was my other. Where he put Kiter in with me, so I kind of looked after him a little bit. So yeah, he was a good guy also.
Dave Ellett there too, right? Dave Ellett was there.
Actually, he came after I went to Montreal, or he might have been there just the last year. I can't remember if he was in the minors. He came up. Randy Carlisle came in my last year also. I played with Randy. They traded for him.
Kitty Carlisle.
Kitty, yeah, he was there.
He didn't like being called Kitty though, did he? Because we used to yell at him in LA. We were told he didn't like it.
Oh, was that right? Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So good old days.
What was it like when you first saw Gresh? Like we've had guys on here, and we kind of ask them all the time, standard question, like, was Gresh? And most of the guys will say that he didn't talk to anybody he didn't talk to new guys, kind of was a little bit above everybody else.
That wasn't that. You need to find your space. You need to find your space.
Oh,
Gresh was good. Gresh was good. He was good to me. He was good to me. He was a an elite guy, right? But he looked after the rest of us guys. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. That's not the report I've been getting from other guys. And that's good that you feel that way.
Now that you finally heard the truth, Tom,
Yeah.
the other guys are full of.
Okay.
Well, I think maybe because after my first year in New York, Gresh, you remember coming to our place in Sherwood Park for dinner?
Long time.
You probably don't remember that, eh?
Yeah, I remember.
No, you don't.
He does not remember.
You don't remember.
No, because I had a friend of mine that was north of Edmonton. A friend of mine grew up.
Well, yeah, sure what Park is. Yeah.
Remember?
No, that's where he lived. He lived not that far from you.
Yeah, exactly. You came and I invited him over to our single wide. And we lived there in the summertime on my dad's farm. Nancy and I pulled in there and we'd hunker down for the summers. And hey, come on over, Gresh, for dinner. We had Gresh over for dinner that night.
In the trailer?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, Gresh went there? Like, Gresh, you've never been in a single wide trailer, have you?
I've been everywhere, Tom.
Did you show up in a limo?
It was a summer home. Like we, like everybody, nobody had any money back then, right? So finding this single wide on my dad's property, it was awesome for the summer. We had it for about 2 years and then finally bought a house.
Hey, listen to me.
Did Gresh show up in a limo?
No.
A black one. A black limo.
Yeah.
I don't remember the chauffeur's name though. Was it Joe? Joey?
It was the bartender from.
Could have been. Joe. Yeah, Joe was the driver.
Yeah. No, Gresh was great. He looked after the guy. He was a guy that you always remember. You go to work for that guy. I tried to look
after Tommy too, Soapy.
You did?
But he just Tommy was. We were out having a cocktail one night. And Tommy goes, "If I do something stupid tonight, punch me in the face." So we're outside this establishment, and I'm arguing with him. He's going, "No." Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
That's selective memory.
Yeah. That's not true.
There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it.
It was under duress.
Yeah.
I remember the story on Tommy, the scoop on him, because you were in the minors the one year. Did you play in New Haven, Tom?
After my senior year in college, I went down and played in the playoffs in New Haven. Yes.
Yeah, and I think I went between there and I was up in New York. The Islanders had claimed me, so the Rangers pulled me back. So I spent the whole year up in New York there with JD and somebody, Wayner, I think it was. The story on Tom was he was a really real tough guy because didn't you break a stick over your head once?
Yes,
I remember that. He had the cowboy boots and the cowboy hat. That was my type of guy.
Yeah. So when I went in college, I was working at a camp during the summer up there, and that kid broke it, like kind of cracked the stick a little bit. So just joking around, I grabbed the stick and broke it over my head, snapped it over his head. And they said, "Well, you never do it with a real, it's like a stick that's not cracked." Yeah. So, a really intelligent young man at 18, 19 years old, I said, "Sure, I will." So I broke the stick over my head. And then at the end of the camp, all the parents show up to pick up their kids. And they're like, "This is great. Watch this guy. He can break sticks over his head." So I had to go do it again so the parents could all take pictures of it. And then they said, "Well, you'll never do it in a game." And I said, "Well, I thought it was a pretty good bet because I really wasn't much of a goal scorer, obviously." And I said, "Well, as soon as I score my first goal this year, then I'm going to go to center ice. I'm going to break it over my head." Well, I don't know how it happened. I scored a goal, so I had to go to center ice and took the helmet off, broke the stick over my head, and I turned to the other goaltender. I got the two pieces of the stick, and screaming. The referee later on said he should have given me a penalty, but he just had never seen something like that before, so he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. I like that.
That's where my parents are so proud of me. I went up there on a college scholarship, and that's what I learned.
Yeah, but awesome. How many years were you there? 4?
4 years, Ron.
Wow.
4 years of college.
That's what I'm saying. You have to go to school. You need college.
Yeah, totally. It might help to go to class once in a while too, but yeah.
Well, I missed that part in the sentence. I'm sorry. I should have filled that in.
Yeah. So
it was fun time.
Amazing.
I know, like
so a lot of stuff, great stuff for your career, right? I mean, being in New York and Montreal, Winnipeg, winning the Stanley Cup in Montreal. So, I mean, you look back at your career and you're pretty happy with how it went.
Well, let's just say I've, you know what, I always was on the kind of borderline. I was one of those guys that had to work hard to make the team and stay there. I was kind of got my break my last year in New York. Played, I think, 39 games and then got traded. The next year, I got sent down actually right before the deadline, and you kind of knew that was the end of it, right? You played 39 games, and I was having a decent year that year, and I got sent down. And the following summer, I got traded when Herb came in, went to Winnipeg. The next year, I kind of made the big team and played 39 games. I would have played more, but what happened was Fergie called me into his office when I played my 39th game. There's probably 2.5 weeks to go in the season. He says, Doug, he says, I just want to be honest with you. He says, you can't play anymore. He says, because we've got a deal with the Rangers that if you play 40 games, I have to give him a second-round draft pick. He says, I don't have a second-round draft pick. So he said, I just want to be honest with you. So I said, okay, that's fine. I get it. So Eddie Stan played, I think, the last 6 games of the season. And then the following year, I think I played 40 and then 40 again and kind of got that break. And then obviously got traded to Montreal, which was a big break because it was kind of a dream.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was always a Canadian fan. I had a chance to play with them and win a cup, and then finished up back in New York, which was, anytime you're drafted by the Rangers and, it's your first team, that's once a Ranger, always a Ranger, and I still feel that way today. And then from there, I moved on and managed teams in the IHL, and Major Juniors was a great. I loved it when I went out to Everett. We had a lot of success in Kansas City doing affiliations. That was basically my university. That's where I learned how to run teams and negotiate with guys like you, Tommy, and put teams together, build teams. But when I went out to the junior ranks, or started up that Everett Washington team year one, we had a year to prepare, and it's just like running a National Hockey League team without the big money. Same thing. You have to scout, put your scouts together, build plans, project players. You're drafting kids that are 15 years old, and that following year you got to recruit them. I think we had eight kids out of the time I was in Everett were first-round draft picks. Ryan Murray played in Columbus. Seth Jones was a kid that was coming to Everett. He didn't come because I got fired. Basically, the day he was coming, he got fired, so he decided he wasn't going to come. Peter Mueller, Hamill, our goalie, was drafted in the first round. So very rewarding. I found it to be very rewarding working in juniors. Obviously, it was totally different than when we played Gresh. Totally different than when we played.
Yeah.
Gresh just picks up and wanders away.
What's that?
Gresh just wanders away every once in a while. We just lose him. He'll run into a wall or something like that. He'll be back.
Doorbell ring.
Oh,
Doorbell.
Who was it? Boy?
Hey,
Who was it?
No, I think that they have those remote doorbells.
Yeah.
And like 3 doors down, they ring theirs. It rings here.
Oh, I see.
When I first moved into this place, I thought the doorbell's ringing. So I thought that goddamn Laidlaw, he's ringing the doorbell, running around the corner. I go through. Then one day I just sat here all day and I watched the doorbell.
I never thought of that. I never thought of that. God, I missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I know that in that division you play with out there, Cranbrook. Cranbrook was
They were in the BC division, yeah.
Yeah, my nephew bought that team and then they moved it to Winnipeg.
Oh, is that your nephew?
Yeah, Greg.
Oh,
Greg
okay,
Feathers.
yeah, right. Chanel owned that for a number of years,
Yeah, Chanel.
Basically, that was a team that they gave him as a going away president because he was a commissioner of the league forever. They gave him the franchise. It started in Edmonton, and that's when the Oilers were having problems. They didn't know if they were going to stay or not, and he thought he would go in there and kind of clean up, but never existed. So they moved to Cranbrook, and it was a very small market, and they couldn't survive. So they did for a number of years, but it's a great league. The Western Hockey League is unbelievably run now, very professional. It's all first class. The way they travel, the schooling, it has to be nowadays. It's not like when we played Gresh.
Oh, they made me go to school when I left home.
What kind of school?
I remember going into my first year. I left. I was in Chilliwack, British Columbia.
Yeah.
And playing in the BC Junior League, and got to the school, and me and two of the guys that I was going to school with, because it was all 15 and 16-year-old kids, right? So I'm 15. I'm going to grade 10. So we walk into school and we hear over the thing. Okay, whatever. It was 8:30 in the morning. Whatever. Everybody in their home room. I'm looking like two buddies. We're all from Saskatchewan. What's a home room? We were wandering around the halls. Couldn't figure out what a homeroom was. There was more kids in my grade than there was in my school.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was.
Yeah. Well, it's important nowadays. Obviously, I know from the time I was there, I started that franchise in, when was it, 2002, I think. We had a year to prepare, and then, set up the schools, the billets, and all the education coordinators, because there are some problems when you bring Canadian kids down to the U.S. to make sure that they're getting the proper credits and all that.
So how do you find the?
What's that?
How do you find the billets? It's like, how do people just?
Honestly, that was my biggest concern taking the job. That was like, how do we find billets? Right? Yeah. It's crazy. So what I did was I hired a billet coordinator. They found them.
So just so people are aware, that the kids in junior, they go live with other families. They call them the billet, right? And they get paid a little bit, right? The billet student.
Yes. What happened was I hired a billet coordinator, and it happened to be the secretary in the school for the principal. She was awesome. She knew everybody in town. So in Everett, it was such a big hit, this junior franchise, that we had no problem finding enough people to look after the players. But obviously, you have to do background checks. You have to run it through the police. You have to go visit their homes to make sure it's qualified. You know what I mean? To make sure they have enough room. And so there's a lot of procedures you have to go through to make sure that, you're putting a kid in with a strange family, just to make sure that they mesh. And sometimes they mesh, sometimes they don't. You have to maybe move the odd one around, or one of the players is being a jerk. You got to move them out and move somebody else. But all in all, it works pretty well. And they build relationships. Like, I know Ryan Murray, he hauled his billet from Everett all the way to the draft. He still brings them out to watch games in Columbus. Oh yeah, they built all kinds of relationships with these people, and it's good. It's kind of neat to listen to the story. So we've got a good. Everett was a great place.
Gosh, do you keep in touch with your billet from junior?
What's that?
Do you keep in touch with your billet from junior?
From British Columbia, no. From the BC League, there was a lady, Miss Madden. There was 5 of us staying in this house, and she used to lock the fridge.
Yeah.
Was there beer in there?
I don't know what was in there. Probably a dead body. And then my first year, we ended up staying in a hotel. There was a bunch of guys, Eddie Levine and Kim Crable. We all ended up staying in a hotel because we got kicked. The lady was going nuts downstairs, so we were wrestling upstairs, and there was a guy who grew up with Marcel Vandegraff. We all got at 2:00 in the morning. She was chasing us out of her house.
Why? Because you're wrestling upstairs?
Yeah, we were wrestling. Guys, you're 15, 16 years old, and the whole team was like that, except for a few guys. We were all young, and she ended up chasing us out of her house, and we had to come back with the cops, get our clothes. I only had like, how much clothes do you think you have back then?
Yeah.
There was no telephones. You couldn't leave your telephone or nothing. Didn't have anything. You grab the few things you had and you put in your little bag and you're out of there.
Yeah.
So they stayed in a hotel.
What's that?
You went and lived in a hotel?
Yeah, the guy that owned the team, his name was Ed Haskell.
Eddie Haskell.
Eddie Haskell.
Yeah, Mr. Haskell. He put us in a hotel, and we stayed in this one hotel for probably 5 weeks at the end of the season. Then we ended up for a couple rounds in the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, it's important. Those billets are important. They really are. Like,
totally.
feeding the kids nutrition, and and they clean them out of food. Like there's no stopping. We used to pay I think we paid them $350 a month, and we could have paid them $600 a month. And the kids would eat all that. So
yeah, we were $85 a month.
Bill, it's
$85 a month.
Yeah, because you were doing intermittent fasting back then, so you weren't eating.
Well, we had no choice in that house.
Yeah.
She made us fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've never heard of somebody locking the refrigerator before.
Oh yeah, she locked the refrigerator.
Oh wow.
You go if dinner was at, say we had a lot of times we practiced in the morning, right? So you'd leave in the morning at 6 o'clock to walk to school. It was a couple miles uphill.
Both ways.
But anyway, you go there and then you'd get home and then you you try to get to school as much as we could because we were very busy back then.
Right.
And at nighttime, if we weren't practicing at nighttime and there was a 6 o'clock dinner, you had to be there at 6. Not at 6:10.
Food was gone.
There was nothing. There was the 5 guys that were living there, but it was. Yeah. I loved. I mean, I left home when I was 15. I loved it.
Yeah. I tell you what, those kids, when we'd get them in Everett, the parents, we the second year that we had 8 16-year-olds playing for us. Our second year there, because we had gone through an expansion. We went to the finals the first year, so we lost a lot of the older guys, and all our young guys were coming. So we had 8 16-year-olds, and all the parents, you're dropping your 16-year-old kid off, and it's, what are you gonna, what's gonna happen, and everything's great, and some of them play more than others, but by the end of the year, they go back at the end of the summer. They go home for the summer, and every one of the parents said they can't wait to get back. Like they just want to come back. It's the hockey environment, right? They want to be around their friends. Doesn't matter. They can't wait till summer's over because they want to get back to Everett. They want to get back to their team and be a team and play hockey. And it's amazing. It's amazing culture.
Yeah. Well, my first year in New West, we were the only team out in British Columbia. So
yeah,
our traveling schedule compared to you guys.
Yeah.
You guys had Medicine Hat was close and Calgary was close.
Yeah.
And but we used to go on these bus trips, boy.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't keep your feet on the floor because if you kept your feet on the floor for the whole 8 hours you're on the bus, you couldn't play in the game because your feet were frozen.
Yeah. It was different back then, of course. Yeah.
But
for sure.
It's a good experience. You could play on your cell.
We would travel out. We took a plane out to play you guys.
I know. We did.
We'd fly out.
We used to bus up. We used to bus to you guys, and then we'd go all through the whole prairies.
Right.
But we used to, you sit there and you play. Back there, you play on your iPad, and you play on your phone. You're fine,
Yeah, an iPad back then.
Nothing. Games on your iPad. Yeah.
You're the first one to get the iPad too.
Yeah, back then, I got my first iPad, I think.
Yeah.
We used to sit in the back of the bus and play poker for a nickel.
Yeah.
For games. But
travel's not that bad now out there because they've got the division, so it's a lot easier. The buses are a lot nicer.
I went to last year in September in 2019. I went and watched the Winnipeg Ice play against Brandon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I hadn't been back in Brandon since '74,
Yeah.
But the kid that the Rangers drafted in the first round, the second pick, or what was it, 19th, I think they took him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And first period, he cold cocked the guy with the shoulder, and the guy was on our team was out and out of the game, got suspended.
Yeah.
He's going to be a good player for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Hey, stop it out there. See that?
Not me, Gretchen. Not me.
I think that's how I found out it wasn't you because on the show. But anyway, so I went back to Brandon and some guy comes up to me.
Who is it?
Guy comes up to me and says, "Do you know that you guys had like 25 bench clearing brawls in 1973-74?" I go, "Really?" We had a bunch of guys. I don't remember all that. But
oh yeah, you guys. I was looking at your stats there. You guys had you had 2 guys with over 300 minutes in penalties.
I know there was no 10-minute misconducts back then.
No.
Gresh, who called you there? Who's calling?
A friend of mine, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter. What does he do?
He's in money management in Jersey.
Money management.
So do you guys do a lot for the alumni in New York?
Yes, quite a bit. Yeah. Well, obviously not during the pandemic, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Tom does a lot of that stuff. Tom does a lot of the on-ice stuff, and he loves that stuff. You know, the kids love him because he's like jokes around with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
He's in there beating the kids up because just the way Tom is. He's abusive.
Yeah.
I make him do push-ups so they don't score goals. Yeah.
Build up their arms.
Yeah, definitely.
No, the alumni is good to us. Alumni people are. The whole organization is a great organization. I haven't been back to Madison Square Garden since March 7th. Probably the longest. I mean,
yeah. What if I let you just go in there and sit in the Delta Club?
That's what I want. That's what I miss most.
Yeah.
You go in there, you have a couple Jacks.
Yeah, she don't want.
What's that?
She's trying to arrange that. Just let you go into the Delta Club. Right?
Yep. You have to go into the city for that, though, right?
We'd have to video that and everything.
Yeah.
Gresh, you know what?
Myself sitting at the end of the bar.
I've got a complaint though, Gresh. I think this is the first show that you have never said, "Listen to me." I don't think you said it.
Tom, I'm holding my tongue.
Okay. All right. Gresh has got a thing, Soapy, where it just his little Gresh thing before he speaks. He says, "Listen to me."
Oh, so yeah.
We're going to get t-shirts.
Because Tom doesn't listen to me.
Ordering everybody around, is he?
Yeah.
So we're going to get t-shirts made up.
Should be quiet,
Yeah.
You got 2 ears, one mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak.
Yeah. There you go.
Exactly.
But anyway.
Exactly.
It's amazing though. I've never seen New York like this. It's really heartbreaking to see. Well, I guess every city in America, but
yeah,
all the people everywhere you go. It's heartbreaking for people.
Well, you see they show Times Square and it's empty. It's like, wow, that's.
Yeah, I was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know why it caught my attention, but they paved all the streets because I guess nobody's there, so it's time to pave the streets. It's just eerie to see it.
Yeah, but it's a great city. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun playing in there. Had way too good a time, and wouldn't change anything.
You should be mayor. Gresh, why don't you become mayor of the city of?
I would. I'd like that.
You would. You clean that place up in a hurry.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about
that. I just think I don't think it's cleaning it. I just think it's all kinds of different things. You got to be able to sit down and talk to people, and it's always nice to get both sides of the story, and then you get a happy medium in between.
Exactly.
You know what? Then, Gresh, you'd have the bars open 24 hours a day too, right?
25.
25
1 hour to clean them. Uh-oh.
Who we got?
John That's the bat phone.
JD calling you?
That's Alberta. Who?
JD calling you up?
No, I haven't talked to JD since last summer.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. He's got the Rangers going in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, that's
they look
sure.
good. Yeah.
They're going to be. If a couple of these young guys, get to that step up to that level.
Yeah.
They have the potential to get in there.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of guys they get to a certain part, they peak out and they're done. But
right.
Some of these guys could be really make this team a lot of fun to watch. Put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. I had D'Angelo actually, the defenseman. How's he been?
Oh man, he's playing well now. He has some growing up to do, but he's a good player.
Yeah, when he first came, I was going, oh, he skated. He got a little chip on his shoulder, all that stuff, But he was all over the place. He was like a buzzsaw going nowhere,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had him. I had him in Tucson, and when he was with Arizona, they traded for him. When I was running the American League team in Tucson, we had him down there, and we had our hands full, but you know what? You could see the talent and you could see the ability and great vision with the puck, but he definitely needed some work on the defensive side of the game when it looks like he's really improved it. And he's a good player.
He's got a little bit of an attitude, but for me, like, it's the swagger that you like, right? It's that confidence he's got in himself. So.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that he showed this year. I don't know how many points he had, 50 points or whatever he had this year, and he really he played some really great games this year.
Yeah,
like all over the ice, not just on the offensive side, but
he sees the rink really well, doesn't he? Like he sees the rink. He makes a long pass. He makes a short pass. It's like he sees it on the power play. Yeah. He's got vision for sure.
He's one of those guys that the potential can keep going up.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's guys like Howden. He's got to bring it up there like a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
His first round pick. I mean, it's kind of disappointing not to be able to watch this kid play.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, Soapy, it's great to see you. Great to see you doing well. Family's doing well and everything. Your career. So.
Yeah.
You're a great teammate. I really enjoyed playing with you.
Well,
did you get those glasses all your life, or you just got them lately?
I just, just to look at you guys, I got to put my glasses on. I want to make sure I see you guys.
I was just wondering how I scored those 4 goals. Now I know why.
Because you've got no light bulb, Gus. We got to get a light for you so people can see you. Like your hands.
Tom, I was too lazy to go put the lamp up there today.
You can't do that. People come in and watch you. They want to see you.
Well, I'll send them a picture.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you. It was great seeing you guys and talking about the old days, and wish you nothing but the best. So
same here, Soapy. Great to see you again.
Keep in touch.
Soapy, you were always a competitor and never a complainer.
No, I tried not to.
Unless we were in the bar at 3.
All right, we'll see you later.
Out of here.
Take care, guys.